How should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through the window.
Hello everybody, High Flyers Tag Team back here with another video again today. And in today's video, this is going to be like the 5th time I've tried to record this, because every time I've recorded it, I didn't like the outcome and the quality. Earlier was actually the one I liked the absolute most, and most of them I recorded in my car with my face, like I do that sometimes. And earlier was the best sounding one and stuff, like I got the best points across stuff. Man, the quality of the video itself, because it was like pouring down rain. I don't know. So I'm gonna redo this video again. This time, this should definitely be the one I'm gonna post, since I'm actually now taking time to be in my room and just sit down and film this. So today's video, I want to kind of talk about how basically Mechagodzilla kind of be relevant in terms of like how powerful he is compared to the other like Godzilla and them. How could he get so powerful, and also how could they basically finish up the Oxygen Destroyer plot point they introduced King of the Monsters through Mechagodzilla. So, basically, video of the day. So, Mechagodzilla, we all know he's back in the Monsterverse. Or he's in the Monsterverse. The toy's been leaked. We've seen the design. I'm actually showing up on screen right now, I bet. A model, because this is like fan art, so it's not like leaked or anything. Someone on Instagram actually made a model based off the toys and animation stuff, and solely of the Mechagodzilla from the toy leaks and stuff. So we got a really good model and look at that. So, anyways, though, so the Mechagodzilla, though, how powerful he would be without any information, and pretty much the only information on power we have from Psycho is that he's really powerful. Basically, Psycho said he's really powerful. So I think it's pretty obvious. We know Godzilla and Kong are going to have to team up to take him down, and one of them are going to 1v1 Mechagodzilla after their fight, and more than likely get absolutely destroyed, if I had to assume. So, how exactly powerful? Now, I want to say first off that compared to everyone else in Monsterverse so far, King Ghidorah has definitely been the strongest and most, I would say, he's definitely been the most powerful foe. He's not of our world. He tanked the Oxygen Destroyer, but that's probably more of just a genetics thing. Unlike other earthly titans, he probably doesn't live off radiation and need it to like basically be alive. So basically Mechagodzilla, though, in terms of raw power, could he be more powerful? There's not a lot of information we got that could really prove that. I would say for him, though, a team up between Godzilla and King Kong on Ghidorah would be a lot more of a struggle than just him 1v1ing Godzilla the whole time. We did see Ghidorah, whenever he did kind of get teamed on by Mothra and Godzilla, he kind of got whooped around slightly a bit before, and he was getting whooped around by Godzilla until he basically got his supercharge, or like his own supercharge to counter Godzilla's supercharge. So it's kind of hard to predict, but we do kind of see King Ghidorah didn't do very well. I guess you could say Mothra did sneak attack, but it's very likely that he wouldn't have done well anyways, since they teamed up in the past and they buried him. And if it is true that Mechagodzilla is going to be able to take on Kong and Godzilla at the same time, I would say that makes him pretty powerful right there. I would say Kong is probably going to be more of an adversary for any Titan compared to Mothra. Not bashing Mothra, I'm just saying, like, I would assume Kong would be much more of a threat. Mothra kind of got lucky with Rodan. But that's beyond the point. We haven't seen this monster yet. Who knows? Maybe the 2v1 will be really brief and it'll just be them destroying him somehow. I really doubt that, but it could be. Could be just like a 20-second fight of them doing some killer move on him. But, like I said, though, how he ranks with Ghidorah, we have no idea yet. We haven't seen him enough. I personally hope, though, he does rank above Ghidorah and could actually beat him. However, what can he have that would win? And this will go into how the Oxygen Destroyer can be reintroduced. Not through plot, per se, I might mention it, but more of just how it could be used. So how will this Mechagodzilla that's from what we know, based on GVK after credits, been being built under Skull Island for years, many years. We don't know how many years, but possibly a lot. Possibly ever since the very first expedition. We know it's probably been at least ever since they did the outpost. So Mechagodzilla could have been built anywhere from like 40 to 20 years, which is a really long time to build it. And it can kind of make some logical sense for them to have it done, especially if Monarch can pull it off and they explain it in that way. That could explain why the Argo Jet and they have an aircraft carrier that would be able to hold Godzilla Hong Kong. I mean, it could easily just be because Mechagodzilla is just been being built so long that the other technology is just so easy to them because Monarch builds it all. So, but we do see though in 2014, we don't see as much in King of the Monsters, but in 2014, since this Mechagodzilla more than likely is being built as a backup in case Godzilla's ever to go rogue and they need something to kind of stop him. It's very likely that they would build this to have the kind of weaponry to take out Godzilla. But would they do man-made weapons per se? See, the thing is, with 2014, we saw Godzilla able to withstand many missiles from the American government. And with ease, he was taking them to the gills, kind of annoyed him, forced him to go through Golden Gate Bridge. But it wasn't to the extent King Ghidorah had to block. King Ghidorah, on the other hand, when he got hit with missiles, he reacted, kind of cried out in pain, had to block. To be fair, though, he was getting hit by missiles from the Argo Jet, unlike Godzilla. The Argo Jet clearly had much stronger missiles. We saw, regular jets shoot missiles like Ghidorah, and the explosions were nowhere near as powerful and didn't make him react as much as the Argo Jet's bombs. The Argo Jet's missiles were much more powerful. And I think since we didn't see him ever hit Godzilla, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Mechagodzilla would have the same Argo Jet missiles in him. Now, other than that, though, what kind of weapons could he have? I already was just saying that I think from what we've seen technology-wise so far in the Monsterverse, it's very likely. And also could be likely that we see Maser weaponry. We do know Maser weaponry exists in a way, because at Castle Bravo, the underwater base, we do see it's mentioned that the weapons that the military is getting ready to use to attack on Godzilla whenever he swims up to the Monarch base, Castle Bravo, those are actually called Maser cannons or whatever. And it's very likely that they're Maser. So, and obviously they think they were strong enough to actually hurt Godzilla or do something to him. Whether they could or not, we don't know. So it could be very likely that we'll see Maser technology in Godzilla and Argo Jet missiles. Great, that's 2 out of the many down. But will it really hurt Godzilla? Well, here's how I think they can reintroduce the Oxygen Destroyer and actually make it something that makes King of the Monsters kind of set up for. So, here's the thing. It could be something like Monarch. We know the government made a prototype of the Oxygen Destroyer. Now, it could be very likely, though, that the government funded the Mechagodzilla project. And, which, at the end, I'll kind of talk about contradictions to make this not possible. But I just want to theorize and have some fun with it. So, basically, they could have helped fund the Mechagodzilla project and gave weaponry to Monarch to put inside of him. And like I said, Monarch and them would know by now if this was actually a contingency plan in case Godzilla were to ever go rogue. Why not put the one weapon that nearly killed him in it? And that was just a prototype. I think it's very likely in this case we would actually see the Oxygen Destroyer return. I think the Oxygen Destroyer could be utilized in a multitude of ways. I think, for example, they could literally make his weaponry out of Oxygen Destroyer, like micro-oxygen, if that's what the Oxygen Destroyer in the Monsterverse is made of, micro-oxygen. I don't believe there's any confirmation for it. I don't believe any of the novelizations or anything else has ever talked about if it's micro-oxygen, unless Michael has or something. But as far as I know, there's no exact confirmation that's micro-oxygen, but I would just assume that's what they're going to roll with. So basically, one of the big things I think of, like I said, they could have Argo Jet missiles, but they could increase the strength of it by doing something like Batman or Superman, where the bullets or whatever, they have it in it. What if the missiles had micro-oxygen in them? This wouldn't be too far off reality either, because I believe in real life, I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but there's military weapons where they shoot missiles and the explosion has white phosphorus in it, which is a substance that basically burns everything down to the bone and just can kill you. And why wouldn't it be possible for them to squeeze something like a mini oxygen destroyer basically in these missiles and make them like mini oxygen destroyers? So whenever they hit their target, the Titans, especially Godzilla, since that's who he's assigned to kill and it's been guaranteed, boom, he's dead right there. Not dead, he's just gonna be really hurt whenever missiles made of that are already really powerful enough to make Ghidorah flinch, and block, but they're powerful enough to, they have the oxygen destroyer. They're gonna hurt anything that breathes off radiation. I think it'd also be cool. It could be a reference to Ghidorah or Destroya, where he has like a purple atomic breath kind of attack. That's micro oxygen beam basically. I think it'd be really cool in terms, even if it's a Destroyer reference or not, if the oxygen destroyer beam, if Mechagodzilla were to have it, was more like along the lines of a green beam. I think that would be a lot cooler since we've seen the Monsterverse oxygen destroyer explodes green. And I think it would be very different. We've seen rainbow kind of breaths, and we've seen like the electrical ones before for Mechagodzilla. So why not have a green breath? I think it'd be pretty cool. Plus, like I said, it would kind of add up with the continuity with the King of the Monsters. It would definitely stay consistent with the green tint to it. He also, since we don't know much other attacks of his, we also know he has the spear tail, which would definitely probably be used to stab into Titans and penetrate them and really hurt them. He has the claw hands, which will probably be pretty powerful enough on their own to destroy part Titans. Or it could be at the end of the hands, possible in the center of the palm or whatever, basically. He could shoot like beams out of that. And it could be possible he could shoot his oxygen destroyer beams out of his hands too. And his mouth. I feel like his hands also might be able to turn the missiles and stuff. And I think the biggest contingency thing they could do, which is what I kind of had to talk about with Someone Toa Kingdom, basically at the very end, whenever he dies, whenever he gets destroyed, as a backup, he'll have an oxygen destroyer blow up from inside of him and kill everything in a huge radius, a more complete prototype. Now, why I don't think this would logically makes sense. Like, why would Monarch and them put that in him? Like, something that will literally blow up and kill not just Titans, but like peep anywhere in a radius of it, unless they took him somewhere else. Why would you want to do that? That the oxygen destroyer is guaranteed. We saw what it did to what it did hit. So what if it just blew up? Which is why I don't think they would do that, but it could be possible if Apex somehow got their hands on Mechagodzilla and the blueprints for the oxygen destroyer, they would be responsible for that. Not saying the beam would be much better, but the beam, it could be concentrated and stuff, so it wouldn't just kill everything in the area, like all the human stuff. It would only just kill what it hit. The oxygen destroyer, on the other hand, that's like a nuke. So, like I said, it makes sense if Apex maybe got their hands on everything, did it? But I definitely think you could reintroduce the oxygen destroyer in a way that's basically it's a weapon built into Mechagodzilla, whether it be his beams, his missiles, as a last-second contingency plan thing, that if everything goes wrong, he's destroyed and he blows up and kills all the Titans around him that did it. I definitely think, since he's signed to kill Godzilla, but I definitely think if that were the case, it would definitely kind of cause for an emotional ending when he's destroyed, because he'll more likely get destroyed, and whichever Titan's going to be leaving the Monsterverse has to kind of carry him away and presumably dies, kind of like a Dark Knight Rises ending. But with all that being said, with all these attacks, how powerful would it make him? Well, I think definitely if he had the oxygen destroyer inside of him, it would definitely make him a pretty powerful foe, especially compared to a bunch of Godzilla incarnations and other Titans and kaijus that breathe like radiation. I definitely think it would hurt older Godzilla stuff if it was micro oxygen and stuff, and like I said, other creatures that breathe radiation. I just feel like the problem lies if he's fighting someone like Ghidorah. It's not really going to be very effective, because we saw with Ghidorah being kind of like mangled and killed, the oxygen destroyer didn't do a single thing to him. He did nothing except just regenerate from his fight with Godzilla. Didn't bug him at all. So a creature that doesn't breathe radiation is not really going to hurt. Like, doesn't feed off it and lives because of radiation. It's not really going to hurt Ghidorah. The only way you'd be able to hurt it then is if you make it kind of like the power of like a nuke or something, where it's really hot and kind of has explosive power to it. But then if this is made to kill Godzilla, they already know that's not going to be effective since he's been hit with so many nukes in the face. It doesn't change a damn thing. So I don't see why that would really be a big difference. But again, like I said, they could also have him to kill other Titans and kind of put them out and stuff. So I could definitely see them adding. Plus, we don't know what the Oxygen Destroyer could already have a pretty explosive temperature and stuff to it since it kind of had a nuclear explosion. So it could very likely already be a really powerful like explosion on its own. It could reach temperatures of 100,000, like the core of a nuke. But that'd be the only way it could hurt someone like King Ghidorah, like the Monsterverse one or something. If he couldn't, that'd make him kind of blow him and stuff. But I think those are some ways they could really reintroduce the Oxygen Destroyer, make it kind of convenient to Mechagodzilla. It's basically just make him a walking Oxygen Destroyer, whether he blows up with it or he has beams and stuff. I think the next big thing too, the next big question is, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that, hey, there's something that can contradict this. I think the big thing is that with the newspapers revealed and stuff, talking about how it's been built for years in secret, Monarch throughout the Monsterverse hasn't had a big connection with the government. They've been pretty separate from the government, pretty secretive from them, not revealing a lot of their big secrets and plan stuff. In King of Monsters, first time we really saw it becoming an issue with the government and the government trying to take control. And if Mechagodzilla's been being built for like at the very least 20 years, up to 40, it's very likely that if the government really had no connection, not only would they not fund the project, but they probably didn't even know it was going on until like the newspapers talked about it and stuff. Monarch probably had to hand over information or something, but he would have nothing to do with this project funding, putting their weapons in or anything. So in that sense, Mechagodzilla probably wouldn't have the Oxygen Destroyer because Monarch wouldn't be able to come up with it properly. However, I guess you could say if Apex were to get a hold of it and somehow in a small span of time, since I assume this takes place again after a year after King of the Monsters, and that's just whenever we saw the government taking over and they just made the Oxygen Destroyer and stuff and kind of getting more control over Monarch, depending on what route they go with this film. Maybe if, like I said, if Apex steals the plans, they could possibly somehow in enough time kind of redo Mechagodzilla and make him really powerful and have the Oxygen Destroyer in him. That could be their doing, like I kind of talked about earlier. This could all be their doing possibly, where when they steal him, they're able to put all that powers in it. But I just don't see any of that happening, and that kind of, some people probably wouldn't make too much sense. So, I can't say I could see that happening. I would have to assume the Oxygen Destroyer wouldn't be used unless they do something crazy or they do something that doesn't make any sense. So, like I said, the government has no whatever, but like I said, all we know is the Oxygen Destroyer is the only one that can really hurt Godzilla. It's the only weapon. So, I think in terms of that, I don't see it being used in him since it's not like Monarch's going to really know about it or anything, I doubt Monarch really knows the existence of micro-oxygen if that's what's being used. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had to re-record this audio a couple times again, which kind of sucked, but it's okay. So hope you guys enjoyed. As always, tell me your thoughts down below. Do you like this idea? Do you not? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's not? If you enjoyed, as always, please share, subscribe, and as always, peace. Have a good night.